All right, everyone, I wanted to talk today about political strategy, specifically what Trump must do to win. Now, he doesn't have to accomplish everything that I'm going to talk about, because there's a plethora. But he does have to accomplish some of this in order to win the election. I still favor him, like, if nothing else changes, if the election were held today, I would suspect that Trump would win the election fairly handily. Might be a little bit closer than 2016 at this particular moment, but that could change. You got to realize we got a presidential debate, so that could really change the metric because Kamala is effectively hiding, and that's actually point number one that I wanted to make. Link in the description, archived of course, is talking about Trump's path to victory. Interesting article, but I wanted to flesh it out myself, do my own analysis. Number one, and we've spoken of this before, Kamala Harris is attempting to hide from the public. She's attempting to say as little as possible, to not discuss things. She doesn't even want to discuss it with reporters. Some of these reporters work for networks that work literally with the current administration on economic messaging. If you're not capable of making it with them, you're not capable of making it with anyone. That's why Kamala Harris is hiding Harris. The first thing, therefore, that Trump needs to do is draw her out of her shell. If she's unwilling, at the debate or in general, to flesh out her platform, which only has a few planks. Trump's is overly broad at this point, actually. If she's not willing to talk about the issues or give any indicator on where she stands on certain issues, so for instance on fracking, she was against it before she was for it, I guess. I don't know where she stands on the issue. You need to drag her out and either make her flesh out her platform so that you have more to attack, or you can write her platform for her. Simply go back into, the archives of everything Kamala Harris has said as AG, in the Senate, etc., and put her on record as having those views. Now, she now has a choice. You can go back on that view and say, well, I changed my mind. Or you can stick to your guns and you've written the book for her. You stick to issues in which independent voters would not like her pre-stated views. Now, there's got to be hundreds and hundreds of statements to go through. This could be a campaign ad. It could be brought up at the debate. It should be fodder in general. That's point number one. Draw her out of her shell. Number two, make it absolutely and abundantly clear that she is tied hip to hip with the Biden administration. She cannot escape it. I talked about this the other day in one of my New Tech exclusives. She's part of the administration. She's the second in command. People generally disapprove of the job that Biden's doing. And his, ranking in the polls, it was pretty messy towards the end, especially after his debate performance. You can query Kamala Harris. You should only do this to a limited degree because otherwise it'll be seen as degrading. Tie her into, well, you knew that Joe Biden was cognitively impaired quite clearly, but you didn't say anything about it, you didn't do anything about it, etc. But that can't be a main plank in the platform of the Trump campaign. It's good to bring it up. It's probably better if Vance brings it up to Tim Walz, actually. Because that's a side issue. The big thing, though, is that Harris is tied to the administration in the general sense. So she is partially responsible, not fully, but partially. She was, again, hiding Harris this whole time. Partially responsible for the economic policy. Well, most people don't approve of the current economy. They trust Trump far more, tie her into that. The border crisis. Casting her off as borders are... I was surprised to see certain right-wing commentators, again, not being right-wing myself, but I'm just fascinated by the right-wing because they're so self-destructive sometimes. I was fascinated to see certain right-wing commentators saying, well, drop the borders are shit, to focus on something else. No, that's a good place of focus. The legacy media, which you can also dovetail into the story, deemed her the border czar. It's not an official title in the sense of, you got a medal or you got a piece of paper saying you're officially the border czar. That being said, that was the moniker given. She was responsible for certain international communication with regards to the border crisis, and she fucking failed. That should be brought up. AI czar. Now we get a bunch of stories saying that China is outlapping us with regards to artificial intelligence. Although I did see an AI-generated band earlier on YouTube, I'm going to be probably talking about that later, that was extremely good, actually. Apparently AI is capable of making competent 60s hippie-style songs. That has nothing to do with Donald Trump. I just wanted to point that out, and I'll talk about that later. Those are some of the things that Trump needs to do to win. Another thing, it is good, fundamentally, to do the mean tweet thing. It riles up the fan base, the core fan base. That is good, but it can't be the only thing that you do. You need also to inform people who may not be, some of the younger voters. They're a little bit on the young side. They don't remember as much about the Trump years. You need to remind them, hey, this was my economy. This is your economy. Yeah, isn't it wonderful? People paying, goddamn, one of those little bowls of Panera soup at the gas station is $7, for example. Not that I eat Panera soup, but, I've had it a couple of times in the past. It used to be $3.99, I think, or $4.99. Now it's $7.09 or something like that. Just as an example, the economy, the border, probably, and another thing that you absolutely have to do, challenge her on her views with regards to Israel and Gaza. If she sides unequivocally with Israel and does the worship at the Wailing Wall thing, she's going to alienate millions of left-wing voters. Now, most of this doesn't matter because it'll be voters in, safe blue states. Michigan and Wisconsin do matter. They have large Islamic populations. What if she comes out in favor of Gaza? Well, all of a sudden, I wonder why Long Island is in play. You could end up throwing the election to Trump by winning New York. I don't predict this, but it is a remote possibility. By throwing New York to him while holding the Rust Belt. That would be the most strange thing in modern U.S. politics, by the way. Again, not a prediction. I'm just saying that there's like a 1 in 100 chance of it or something like that. Those are some of the things that Trump must do to win. And again, he does not need to do all of these things. He just needs to do some of them. Another thing is if you can get Kamala to do the sassy thing, actually it would probably be beneficial. She, for some reason, and I kind of agree with Kamala on this, which is weird to say. I kind of agree that having Trump speak over you would be a good thing, and then you can do the, I'm speaking, like the authoritarian, like the authority thing. But the other part of me thinks, well, that might come off as overbearing. So I'm not sure. I think it's generally best, though, that there are muted mics at the debate, because then Trump will be more linear. He will be more focused. That's another thing he must do when he's debating Kamala Harris. Remain linear. If she gives you any bait, don't take it, because she's probably going to try to do so. She's probably going to try to antagonize and bring up, misogyny or something like that. She's going to try to do the id poll thing because she has nothing else to run on. That's the whole point. These are some of the things that Trump should do if he wants to win the election. I still give him very favored odds, and the odds market reflects this, by the way, at this point too, because Kamala has one weakness. She is very poorly spoken, and she's going to have to speak for 90 minutes. That's going to be a little bit of a problem. That's about all. Peace out.